It is midnight on the northern coast of Jamaica. Under the cover of darkness, a fleet of heavy excavators and dump trucks storms the shoreline, violently tearing into the white sand. By morning, the crew is gone. Where a 400-meter stretch of untouched beach sat just hours earlier, there is only a jagged, muddy crater of excavated rock. This physical theft in Jamaica is one operation in a multi-billion-dollar global economy. Across India and Southeast Asia, entire islands have been drenched away overnight, and journalists investigating these disappearances have been murdered. We are looking at a highly organized criminal syndicate targeting the literal foundation of the earth, scooping it up and hauling it away in plain sight. This photograph of the Sahara shows sand as one of the most abundant, least valuable natural resources on the planet, covering millions of square miles in seemingly infinite supply. Under a microscope, desert sand is useless. Wind erosion smooths screens into polished spheres that slide past each other, creating weak concrete. But infrastructure requires jagged river sand. These sharp edges physically lock together, providing the immense strength needed to support modern skyscrapers. Because the desert cannot provide this highly specific geological shape, humanity's building supply remains strictly finite. This geographical reality turns quiet riverbeds and isolated beaches into highly lucrative targets for organized crime. The extraction begins late at night. Ground-level laborers, machine operators, and divers move into waterways, pulling sand directly from the river bottom and piling it onto waiting trucks. These crews bypass main roads, guided by operators who monitor law enforcement in real time. Using encrypted apps, they map clear routes and navigate their payload around official police checkpoints. The cargo arrives at storage yards run by middlemen. Here, the stolen sand is physically mixed into legally sourced material, effectively laundering it and making the illicit grains impossible to trace. At the highest tier, the syndicate ensures total protection through systemic bribery. Local politicians and police officials receive payouts to ignore the midnight dredging and issue the fake transport permits that legitimize the stolen shipments. This is a vertically integrated shadow logistics empire, coordinating every step of the supply chain, from the initial dredge to the final sale. Looking at this topographical map of an illegally dredged river system, the physical damage becomes clear. Over a tracked 6-month period, constant extraction causes the riverbed to drop, and the banks are drastically widened as the earth gives way. This unnatural steepening creates an unstable environment. Ancestral farmlands, local roads, and homes built along the edge lose their foundation and literally collapse into the water. When locals attempt to expose the damage, the response is fatal. In 2015, an Indian journalist named Sandeep Kothari documented a regional smuggling network. He was kidnapped from his home, taken to a remote highway, and burned alive. The cartel relies on this extreme violence and psychological terror to enforce silence. Residents, local police, and regulatory officials are routinely threatened or attacked if they attempt to interfere with the extraction routes. Disrupting a river's natural flow weaponizes the landscape against its residents, erasing geography while funding a regime of localized terror. This image of a massive concrete high-rise illustrates the scale of global consumption. Humanity uses roughly 50 billion tons of sand every single year to fuel the expansion of modern cities. Some developers are using the material to alter the ocean's geography. Hundreds of millions of cubic meters of sand are poured directly into open water to manufacture enormous artificial luxury islands. Looking closely at this silicon wafer reveals a critical technological demand. Highly refined sand is an essential component for creating glass screens, as well as the advanced microchips powering massive data centers. From structural concrete in office towers to processing chips inside our smartphones, every modern convenience is physically tethered to this violent, invisible supply chain. Even with estimates suggesting up to 70% of the sand in certain markets is extracted illegally, it remains a standard commodity. It avoids the international scrutiny and strict border crackdowns that target narcotics or weapons. Over the next 40 years, global sand consumption is projected to double. We are extracting the resource far faster than the Earth's rivers and coastlines can naturally replenish it. The physical toll is already visible. In Southeast Asia, entire low-lying islands have been mined to the brink of complete submersion, forcing governments to initiate expensive rebuilding efforts to keep them above water. Human engineering is effectively cannibalizing the Earth's foundation. We are building our most advanced, towering empires by relying entirely on a finite resource that is rapidly slipping away.